Hey, what is going on? My name's Tim Williams. It is Tuesday, September 28th, and we have a 13-game MLB slate to break down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. You're in luck. We're going to go through each and every one of these games. We're going to talk hitting. We're going to talk pitching. We got the over-unders. We got the favorites. We got plenty of power numbers. We got strikeout rates. We got all that good stuff. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton to kind of reach new people. Getting a lot of feedback from some people saying like these slides have really helped them in their contests. So we've had some big winners. And basically the point of this channel is to help you grow as a DFS player. So we're going to talk strategy. Don't miss out. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're going to get through this real quick, right? So we got the Red Sox taking on the Orioles. The Red Sox are favorited here on the road, 9.5 over under. Sale taking on Zimmerman. Sale 9.4K, 24.6% strikeout rate here, a 53% ground ball rate, just kind of vintage Chris Sale, right? He's been struggling a little bit to right-handed batters. I don't think it's as much of a concern. Remember, he was kind of coming off a big injury, so they've been somewhat limiting him to about 5 innings, maybe 6 innings. I think we're going to kind of see that here on out, but who knows? The Red Sox are kind of out of the playoff race as of right now. So this is a big game for them. Maybe they let Sale kind of go unleashed here. 9.4K, I think that's a solid price against an Orioles team. I think he's in the player pool. I could see if you'd want to fade him, but yeah, he's definitely in the mix here. Zimmerman on the other side, 5.2K, just not interested here. You have a hungry Red Sox team who, yes, to be fair, have been struggling, but Zimmerman himself, 20% strikeout rate here, giving up a decent amount of hard contact, 44% of the time, 40% ground ball rate, which isn't that great. Struggles against right-handed batters himself, 204 ISO power to righties. So I like the righties on the Red Sox side. I really do think the Red Sox are going to be somewhat popular here. I don't know what the weather is going to be in Baltimore, so keep an eye on that. But Dahlbeck at 3.1K, just hitting lefties so well. 281 ISO against lefties this year. Renfroe is my other favorite bat. Those are my top two, right? Dahlbeck and Renfroe, based on salary and performance, especially performance as of late. 235 ISO there. Kike Hernandez always in the mix against lefties, 208 ISO on the year there. Martinez 4-1. I think that's just too cheap for the upside. Iglesias is one way to get different in your Red Sox stacks in general. He profiles well here, and at 2.9K, he can really kind of round out and kind of lower the overall cost of your salaries for the Red Sox. I mean, everyone's pretty much in play here, so they have to win this game. They've been struggling. It's up to you. What do you think the game narrative is going to be? On the other side, the Orioles, Hayes, 3.5K. I think it's fine. It's probably the most I'd really want to pay for him, but 250 ISO and 15% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching. So he's putting the ball in play against lefties. Sale, big strikeout guy, so it's kind of dangerous. Mancini, I think, is just cheap value, but I could probably see fading the Orioles. This is the tough part about taking a team like the Red Sox this early on, is if their stack is dead, then you're pretty much dead. So keep that in mind, but it is a 13-game slate. Next, we are going to talk about the Yankees and the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are favorites here at home, 9 over under. Massive playoff implications in this game. It sucks for the Red Sox because they need both of these teams to lose here, right? And that's just not possible. Taillon taking on Ryu. Taillon 8.4K. Ryu 8K. We'll talk about Jameson first. 23.4% strikeout rate, 47.4% fly ball rate. Both pitchers coming off an injury, so I'm a little cautious there. I'm not interested in either one. We have plenty of top pitching on this slate to talk about, or that will probably be in our player pools. So pass on Taillon, especially with the matchup. Ryu for the Blue Jays, 20.7% strikeout rate here. To me, he's just a better real life pitcher than in fantasy. 45.6% ground ball rate, which is really great. His average air distance to batters is 164. So guys aren't really hitting the ball out too far, which is very interesting. On the Yankees, I think the edge goes to the right-handed batters. I really like Stanton here. No surprise there. 4.7K. That's just way underpriced for his performance as of late. He's just mashing the baseball. He crushed it in Fenway this past weekend. So on the Blue Jay side, I'm interested here. I think they're going to go slightly under owned because the Red Sox are going to have some ownership in a couple other places here. It is a 13-game slate, so don't worry too much about ownership if you're playing large field GPPs. Springer at 4.9. He's been hitting the ball very excellent. 311 ISO against right-handed pitching this year. Tyon has that huge fly ball rate. Semien at 5.4. He's having an incredible year. A lot of home run upside there. Guerrero 6.3, right? That's the obvious play. 311 ISO against righties there. So Guerrero and Springer both have the same ISO power against righties. You just get a big discount with Springer. Hernandez 4.6K. I think he's fair. He has a lot of upside there. So I don't mind a little mini Blue Jays stack. Both bullpens they're decent. These teams are hungry. So I can't put a finger on what the outcome of this game is going to be, but yeah, it's some interest here. So next we have the Phillies taking on the Braves. The Braves favorited here at home, 8 over under. Wheeler taking on Morton, probably my favorite pitching matchup on the slate. Wheeler 10.5K. Yeah, it's a spend up. 29% strikeout rate, 51% ground ball rate, 26% fly ball rate. That's incredible. Average air distance against batters, or batters have against him, 135 feet. That is extremely low. I know the Braves lineup is scary, and I've said in the past I don't really want to face them, but we'll talk about one of Wheeler's pitches that kind of gives him an edge in this one. Morton at 9.2K. I think that's a fair price, maybe a little high. You know what you're going to kind of get out of him. I think he's always consistent. 28.2% strikeout rate here, 27% fly ball rate. That's incredible. Average air distance the opponents have against him is 144.6 feet. So both of these pitchers incredible, keeping the ball in the park here, right? Strikeout rates are about equal. Both have similar fly ball rates. You're just getting Morton in a much cheaper discount. I don't like to stack against Wheeler. I don't like to stack against Morton. Talking about the bats for the Braves, Wheeler throws a sinker about 40% of the time to right-handed batters. The Braves are mostly right-handed heavy and strike out a decent amount against the sinker. So I think both pitchers are in play. I think putting them both together is fair. So next one we have here to talk about is the Brewers and Tigers and the Twins. No favorite here, 9.5 over under. Alexander against, we don't know yet. Twins don't really have a starter, so it could just be a bullpen game, maybe a guy who goes 3 or 4 innings. Alexander, 5.9K. Let's talk about what we do know. 19% strikeout rate here, 43% fly ball rate, 212 ISO against right-handed batters. So not great. I think he can go about 4 or 5 innings. I wouldn't say definitely not roster him in DFS, but basically what I'm saying is, can he kind of limit the damage against the Twins? I think it's possible. On the Twins side, we don't know who's pitching yet. As far as bats go, because we don't know who's pitching for the Twins, I don't know if it really even matters. It's a 13-game slate. If the Tigers beat me on this one, they beat me. So don't have a ton of interest as of right now. As far as the Twins go, I think they're in a really good spot. Donaldson, 4.3K, 291 ISO power against left-handed pitching. Buxton at 4.7, I think is fair. 303 ISO there. Garver, always interested in him. Kind of fills your catcher spot at 4K. I think that's a good price. He typically hits lefties very, very well. So they're a nice 3-man stack here. However, they do strike out quite a bit against lefties, so keep that in mind. It's a high risk, high reward situation, and I do think some ownership will be there. But next we have the Brewers and the Cardinals. Brewers are favorited here, 7 over under. Woodruff taking on Wainwright. Again, excellent pitching matchup in this one as well. Woodruff at 10.3K. He's right up there with some of the best pitchers on the slate by far. 30.5% strikeout rate here, 30.6% fly ball rate. Just excellent. He's been great. Really, these teams are making a big playoff push, so I don't see a ton of offense in this one. Wainwright on the other side at 9K, 20.5% strikeout rate here. So don't love the strikeout rate compared to the cost here. So keep that in mind. 30% fly ball rate. Really struggled his last outing against the Brewers, and he struggled in his outing before that as well. So not that that's a huge concern, but I'd rather just go to Morton at 9.2K. The only real way you'd get to Wainwright is because of ownership. His ownership will probably be a little bit lower, but let's face it, he's not facing the Pirates. He's facing the Brewers. Big matchup here. I don't like the bats in this one. I think it could be a lower, classic NL Central showdown, right? Adames at 3.5K, I think is a decent shortstop punt with power upside. But other than that, I'm passing on the bats in this one. Next, we have the Angels taking on the Rangers. Naughton taking on Alexi. 9 over under here. No favorite here because who knows what the hell is going to happen in this one. Naughton, 12.6% strikeout rate, 11.6% walk rate. That is terrible. 23.9% fly ball rate. So he's not getting a lot of fly balls, getting a lot of ground balls. Just a pitch to contact guy, gives up a decent amount of hard contact against right-handed batters. All this is in a very small sample size, so keep that in mind. Angels bullpen's not that great either. And then on the Rangers side, Alexi at 6.3K. I think he's been kind of somewhat lucky in some of these other matchups he's had in the past. 19% strikeout rate, 19% walk rate. That is terrible. 58.3% fly ball rate. 286 ISO right-handed batters have against him. So really the righties crush him. So I'm definitely interested in some of these righties on the Angels. And here's why: we need some cheap bats to fill up some spots, because we're probably going to want to pay up for some of these pitching, right? Or some of these pitchers. There's a lot of good pitchers to kind of go double stud up top. So besides Ohtani, who's most definitely in play at 6.2, Mayfield at 2.3K, Gosselin at 2.3K, two righties that I really like here. They're going to hit kind of in the middle of the order. And then even some of the lefties are in play for sure. Marsh has been on kind of hot at 2.2K. And then Walsh at 3.6K. I think that's just too cheap for his upside here. So I really like the Angels. Maybe I wouldn't full stack it, but it'd be nice to get some cheap bats in there. And then on the Rangers side, I really wanted to be interested here. And I do have some interest. However, they're just really expensive for what the slate is. I don't mind Peters at 2.5K. We know he has some power upside, 429 ISO against left-handers who throw the sinker, which Naughton throws about 1/3 of the time. So I think he has a chance to hit a home run tonight for sure. Yeah, so he's also fits the bill of like a cheap power bat that we could use on a typical slate like this, a big slate. So next we have the Reds and the White Sox. White Sox are favorited here, 9 over under. O'Brien making the call up, making his debut against Lopez at 7.3K. O'Brien at 5K. A little bit about him, just 11% 11% walk rate in the minors this season, 24% strikeout rate, which is fine. We don't really know what to expect here. I think the White Sox bats are in a fine spot. I just like other places to go a little bit better. White Sox aren't really cheap, but we'll get to the bats in a second. Lopez, 7.3K, 18.4% strikeout rate here. So we're starting to see some regression from when he made his debut earlier this season. 47% ground ball rate, which is pretty excellent. 371 ISO to left-handed batters, 257 ISO to right-handed batters. So really just giving up a lot of power to both sides of the plate, more particularly to the left-handed batters. As far as the Reds go, they are really good at keeping the ball off the ground. They don't hit into too many ground balls. India, 5K, Votto 5.4, Suarez 4.1, Castellanos at 5.2. All these hitters are actually really hot. Chirac kind of can anchor that stack at 2.5K. I definitely have some interest in the Reds here. Can they keep it going? I don't know. And then on the other side with the White Sox, I think Jimenez is just too cheap at 4K. Grandal at 4.8 is fine, but like all these other guys are kind of in that upper 4 to 5K range. So I know it's O'Brien's debut and he could get shelled here. So as of right now, I just think there's better spots. Believe it or not, Reds bullpen's terrible too. So I think the White Sox are definitely in play here, and I could see why you'd want to stack them. But for me, I'm going to be a little bit cautious in this one. Next, we have the Rays and the Astros, 9 over under here. Astros favorited. Waka taking on Urquidy. Waka 6.6K, 23% strikeout rate here, giving up a ton of hard contact, 48% of the time, 34% fly ball rate. Really struggles more against the right-handed batters, believe it or not. On the other side, Urquidy, 8.6K, 21.5% strikeout rate here, 43% fly ball rate. That's what he is. He gives up a ton of fly balls. He's actually a pretty good pitcher. 240 ISO, 2 right-handed batters though, which is a little bit concerning. His pitch count is probably capped around the 80 pitches mark. So for the price, I'm just not interested in there. I don't like the matchup for either, pitchers for sure. As far as Rays go, Cruz at 5.1K, I think is fine. Rays are going to likely throw a bunch of left-handed batters at Urquidy, who is really talented at getting out. So Urquidy much better against left-handed hitters. I'm off the Rays primarily, at least at this point. On the other side of the Astros, they're definitely in play. Altuve at 6.1 though. Tucker 5.1, Correa 5.7, Bregman. Like these guys are so expensive and we really want to pay up for pitching. So it's going to be hard for me to kind of get there because there's not a lot of cheap pitching value on this slate. So this game overall might just be a pass for me. Next, we have the Indians and the Royals. Savale taking on Singer, 9 over under here. No clear favorite. Savale really hasn't been all that great this year. 20.5 strikeout rate, really expensive here. 235 ISO against right-handed batters. So pass on him. Singer on the other side, 8.3K. 23% strikeout rate here, right? 9% walk rate, 50% ground ball rate. So he's been excellent. He's actually been pitching really, really good. His last batch of starts, 176 ISO to left-handed batter. So like, that's kind of the one blip that I see here. He's just playing really, really good baseball. Indians, tough matchup. I honestly don't like to pick on the Indians because they don't strike out a ton. They kind of wear you out. If Singer was like 6.3K, I would have way more interest, but passing on the pitchers in this one. Ramirez, big letdown yesterday, but 5.9K. I think he's going to go low owned in a slate like this. 306 ISO against right-handed pitching. And then we're going to get a little contrarian here, right? This is a spot to maybe get a little bit different in your big GPP contest. Bradley at 3.3, Zimmer at 2.4. They have had their struggles as of late, but all three of these hitters, Ramirez, Bradley, Zimmer, really hit right-handed pitchers that throw the sinker pretty well. And Singer throws that pitch about 49% of the time to those batters. So I have an interest in a little mini 3-man stack here. If you really just want to take some bats with a lot of high ownership, don't mind that. Even Bradley and Zimmer just as like punt plays. And then on the other side for the Royals, I know Savali isn't that great, but the Royals are really struggling hitting wise, man. Like, they have Perez, but like everyone else, Benintendi, sure, he's in play, but Mondesi, but Mondesi's super expensive. So Perez at 5.8 would be the only spend up I would go to. Fills your catcher spot. It is a 13-game slate, remember, so we have a lot of options. And next one we have is the Nationals taking on the Rockies. 12 over under here, by far the highest over under on the slate. Rockies favored it at home in Coors, clearly, with Corbin on the mound. Corbin at 7.6K, 18% strikeout rate here, 46% hard contact. He very well could just get shelled on this one. Rockies were disappointing yesterday. Don't mind going back to them. Corbin, 269 ISO, 2 right-handed batters. And DraftKings did not make it a point to price these guys up at all. So we'll get there. Freeland on the other side, 5.7K. He might garner some ownership because he's probably the only pitcher in that range that actually has some decent upside. He really hasn't been that bad this year. 21.2% strikeout rate here, 47% ground ball rate. Really, really good against left-handed batters here. But over the last 30 days, struggling against righties here. 300 ISO right-handed batters have against him. So, unfortunately, some of the best hitters on the Nationals are left-handed, so that kind of works out for Freeland. Thomas is in play at 4.1K. He has a 308 ISO against left-handers over the last 30 days. I think that's exceptional. Leading off in Coors, I think that's fine, but I don't know if I'm going to get to Freeland. Maybe if I'm doing like 10 to 20 lineups, I might throw him in a couple. Just because he has that upside. But yeah, Nationals, a team I really don't want to pick on either. They wear you out as well. They don't strike out as much. Rockies bats definitely in play here. It's crazy how cheap these guys are. Hampson is probably leading off and he's 2.8K against Corbin, who just gives up a ton of hard contact. Story, 4.6K, 282 ISO against lefties. Really fits the mold here. Crone as well, 3.6K, 262 ISO against lefties. Really looks solid. Diaz might be starting at catcher at 3.8K. He has home run upside. And then Welker's probably going to be filling in at second base, 2.2K, near minimum price here. So you could really stack up the Rockies here and just get different in different ways. So I am in on the Rockies here for sure, regardless of their performance yesterday. That was yesterday. Who cares, right? So next, we have the Diamondbacks and the Giants, 8 over under. Giants favorited here. Weaver taking on Webb. Weaver 7K, 22% strikeout rate, 47% hard contact. So giving up a lot of hard contact. 298 ISO to left-handed batters. He's also struggling against righties too. So I like the Giants here for sure. I think they maybe fly under the radar a little bit as far as ownership goes. Webb on the other side, 8.9K. I think he's a good pitching contrarian option here. Nice matchup. I think that plays to his favor. 26.4% strikeout rate here, 62% ground ball rate. He has just been really consistent. Really consistent this season. So he looks good. I think he's fine. I think there's better upside with other pitchers though. Diamondbacks bats, I am off of. Giants bats, I think they're very much in play. Crawford at 5.1, 241 ISO against right-handed pitching. You guys hear that lightning? Yastrzemski at 4.3K, 261 ISO against righties, Wade 4.3K, just so cheap. 267 ISO against right-handed pitching. So these guys just crush right-handers. Weaver can really struggle in this spot. Lastella's probably leading off at 3.8. Really love that base core four there for the Giants. Next, we have the Padres and the Dodgers, 8 over under here. Dodgers favorited at home. Darvish taking on Buehler. Two pitchers that really have been struggling lately. Darvish at 9.3. I think both pitchers have upside too, but really struggling. 27% strikeout rate, 8.4% walk rate, 45% fly ball rate. That's been pretty consistent all year. He's giving up a ton of fly balls, but this is the real big outlier. 489 ISO against left-handed batters over the last 30 days. That is insane. So I am probably off of Darvish. I'm probably off of Buehler too at 9.1K, 25% strikeout rate here, but 16% strikeout rate over his last 30 days. So that's what, 3 or 4 starts. Struggling against left-handed batters himself lately. So I don't mind Hosmer at 2.7K as like a one-off. That's probably the one bat that I probably can see getting to because I need to save salary on the slate. 275 ISO against right-handed pitching over the last 30. So that's interesting to me. Machado at 5K, Tatis at 5.4. Yes, they're both in play, but am I going to get there? It's going to be probably unlikely. But yeah, very much in play. And then on the Dodgers side, I think they're all in play. Like for real, I think Seager is my favorite bat in this one at 5.2K. I like the lefties for sure. Like Muncy, Lux is actually pretty cheap, 3.1K. But I think the Dodgers, yeah, in general in play, but the prices are so high. So it's really hard to get to like Mookie Betts. It's really hard to get to Trey Turner. I want to, but it's going to be hard. So we'll see when we build lineups later if we could possibly get there. But I mean, Darvish isn't the worst pitcher in the world either. Padres bullpen has been struggling, but they're not horrible either. So I might just fade this game outside of Hosmer, but we'll see, right? Next and final game here, you're looking at the A's and the Mariners. A's are favorited here, 8 over under. Bassett on the mound at 8.5K. I was on him on his debut, coming back from that brutal injury. He pitched 3 innings. He was so cheap in salary that it didn't matter. He paid it off. 8.5K is going to be a little bit tougher to get to today. 25.3% strikeout rate. He went 3 innings last time out. I think it's sufficient to say that maybe he can go 5. But I can't see him getting too much farther than that. Mariners have been a little bit tougher to get through lately. And then on the other side, it was originally Kikuchi. He's coming back from an injury. He might not start. Could be Sheffield. Could be Anderson. So I'm seeing all 3 of their names kind of thrown around. So regardless, whoever it is, I'm not in on it. Olsen, I think, is always in play for the A's, but as of right now, with the lack of information, I'm just not going to get to the A's. I don't think the A's are going to blow up the slate regardless. Mariners bullpen, not the worst in the world. And then on the other side, Mariners bats against Bassett. Bassett's a really good pitcher. If he goes 5 innings, I don't think the Mariners are going to really get you anywhere. So that'll do it. My name is Tim Williams. Thank you for watching. I'm almost at that 300 subscriber mark. So I really, really appreciate it. The goal is to get to 1,000 and see where I can grow from there. So really appreciate you watching. Make sure you comment below, say what's up, talk a little baseball with me, talk some sports. And yeah, good luck in your contest. Peace out.